Hello, my name is Brandon Enright, and this is a introduction to the four-dimensional Rubik's Cube, that is the Rubik's tesseract. The program you're looking at is a small little square of a larger program called Magic Cube 4D, or MC4D. This program was written by Melinda Green and Don Hatch, and it's been around since like 2002, maybe a little bit earlier than that. I first became aware of this program when Royce Nelson sent a post to Slashdot in like June of 2003 with a link to this puzzle. And at the time, I think there were like 15 or 16 solvers for the puzzle. I knew how to solve a Rubik's Cube, and when I saw this, I thought, okay, that's impossible. And when I saw that there were 16 solvers, I just sort of assumed like, well, either these people are geniuses, or they're cheating, or maybe there's some sort of trick or something like that. And it wasn't, and I was aware of it from 2003. And as I started getting into twisty puzzles more, I started to think, okay, well, maybe it's possible, but we require too much work, or I don't know. So it wasn't until 2009, I think like September of 2009, where I started to really get serious about trying to figure out how to solve this puzzle. And I had Royce Nelson's guide on, I think he called it like the ultimate solution to the Rubik's 3x3x3x3. And I think he modeled it after Philip Marshall's solution. His solution is okay. It definitely is enough for you to figure out how to solve the puzzle. But I prefer sort of to, one, figure out how to solve puzzles on my own. And so I was very disappointed that I used his solution to solve this puzzle. And two, I have a lot more experience with twisty puzzles now. And I really like using commutator sequences to cycle all the pieces. And while Royce does talk about his, 2-color series, 3-color series, 4-color series, the construction is a little bit more opaque than I would like. So this is an introduction, so I want to talk about how what you're looking at here, and I know it looks crazy, but I want to explain what this is. And then in the second video, I'll talk about how to actually find commutator sequences to solve these pieces. So you're probably familiar with a Rubik's Cube, or a cube in general. But let's go back to a square. So a square has 4 sides. And if you can imagine drawing on a sheet of paper, you can draw 4 lines and make a square. And if you want to draw a cube, and you want to draw like a wireframe version of a cube, then you can draw a square, and then you can draw another square, and you can connect the lines. So I'm sure you've done this before when you've drawn a wireframe cube, where you draw 2 squares, and then you draw lines between the 4 vertices of each square, and you end up with something that looks like a wireframe 3D cube. Well, it turns out that that construction can be extended into 4 dimensions. So to draw a wireframe 2-dimensional representation of a 4-dimensional hypercube, you can just draw 2 wireframe cubes and then draw I believe 8 lines between the vertices of those cubes, and it'll in 2 dimensions in wireframe on a sheet of paper, it'll look like a total mess. But what you will have created is a shape, a 4-dimensional hypercube, or a tesseract. And instead of it having, for a cube having 4 sides, or excuse me, for a square having 4 sides, or a cube having 6 sides that are squares, you'll end up drawing a figure that has 8 sides, and each side is itself a cube. So this is also known as an 8-cell, where a cell is a side. And so when you're looking at this puzzle, this cube right here, and the blue one in the center, that is but one of 8 sides. Now, because this is a 4-dimensional object, and if you count this up, you're only going to see 7 sides here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 8th side is hidden in the back. It's sort of, this puzzle has to be projected in a way that hides that eighth side. And so if you look at a four-dimensional rotation here, see that yellow side came in and it wasn't in before. So no yellow, and then if I rotate the green, so I'm going to rotate the brown into the center here. The blue's going to go right there, and then the green's going to peel off into the fourth dimension. And so watch, there you go, and then the green disappears. So it turns out that, so let's go back here. The blue in the center, this blue, if you see a rotation, is connected to the other 6 sides surrounding it. That is, it's touching the other 6 sides. Well, the yellow is also touching all the other 6 sides. But as you can see, you know, like the blue here is in the center. And so it can touch them all and not be a problem. But if we were to draw the outer 8th side and it's touching the backs of all of these pieces, it would block our view into the interior. And so it gets culled out. It doesn't get drawn. It doesn't get drawn in this projection. And so if I cycle it in, okay, now that the yellow side's in the center, it's the blue side that's touching everything. And so let's take a look at that again. So let's, so see, here's the blue's touching the brown right here. Okay, and so you can see that the blue that was touching the brown is right there, but we don't see the blue part of it. Now, so let's pull the brown into the center here, and now you see that the blue that was touching the brown is right there, and then let's pull the blue in the center again, and then the blue that was touching that brown is right there. So you can see that there's that hidden side. And you don't really have to worry about it. You don't have to think about 4 dimensions in this puzzle much at all. You could really think of this puzzle as just sort of a really strange 3D puzzle. A really, really, really strange 3D puzzle. But you don't really need to understand 4D in any sort of fundamental way to be able to solve this puzzle. The 4-dimensional orientation change that I'm doing is a control click on these faces. So if you click on a sticker, you know, this little cube is a sticker, you'll do a rotation. But if you control click on it, you'll do a rotation where when you control to click on something, you bring that into the center. And I think if you control shift click on it, no, I don't remember. Oh, I think you control right click. Yeah, there you go. You control right click and you'll take it out. So you'll take the center and you'll put it in that spot, like that. Okay. So what are you looking at here? On a Rubik's Cube, when you turn a face is really just sort of like a 2-dimensional object. It's a square. And when you turn it, you have 4 possibilities for turning it. But on a tesseract, a 4-dimensional hypercube, a face is not a square. A face is actually a cube. And so you could turn a square 4 times, and it would go back because there's only 4 orientations available to a square. But there's 24 orientations available to a cube. So if we want to turn this as a face, this cube, if we want to turn this face, you know, we can do these 4, but we could also do these 4. And in fact, there's 24 orientations available. As you can see, there's 24 orientations available for us to turn this. And it's, so the way you choose how to turn this thing, it's kind of an intuitive interface actually. If you click on this, you'll rotate about that individual square. And so if you click on an edge, you'll rotate about that individual square. And so notice how the thing that you click on does not move, it only spins. Or, you know, you click on this and it spins. Or on a corner and the whole thing will spin around the corner. In this way, you can access all 24 available orientations in a single click. So, you know, if you want to do, do that, well, all 24 orientations are available in some complicated way. But it turns out that you don't actually need to use these weird twists around the edges or around these corners. And in fact, I highly recommend that you don't use them because they end up being really confusing. If you're watching this and seeing me click on an edge and going, what the hell is that? Then just don't do it. And so I'm going to prove to you that you can simulate an edge turn by just doing face turns. So check this out. So what we'll do is we'll click on that edge, okay, and we did a turn about that edge, okay. So here we go. Click on an edge, did a turn. Now we're going to undo this turn using only like sort of an easy 90-degree face turn. So first we're going to set up that yellow like that. Great. Okay, so we saw. So here, let me do that again. So I observed that the yellow needs to go there, the blue needs to go there. So we did that. Okay. Now we need to spin this like that. So that was it. So let me reset this. Okay, so there we go. Okay. So I click on this edge and it does some weird rotation. But you can undo that weird rotation with only face turns. Only simple 90-degree turns. And this really makes sense because when you're holding a Rubik's Cube and you want to reorient the cube, not do a turn, but you just want to take that cube and you want to spin it around in your hands. Rarely do you ever like spin it around a corner. No, you don't spin it around the corner. You just sort of spin it that way a little bit, and then you spin it that way a little bit. You're gonna have, let's see, what else can we do here? How do we solve that? Oh, there we go. So you don't really spin it around the corner. You just sort of do these like simple 90-degree twists on the puzzle. And so like if we click on a corner there, and then an edge there, and then an edge there, then a corner there. Okay, now let's see if we can undo this. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm observing that, I think all we have to do is just do that. There we go. Okay, so when you're working on this puzzle, don't do those moves unless you sort of understand what the heck you're doing. But in general, this is not a four-dimensional move. This is just a three-dimensional move. It's just a way to reorient the cube within the center here. And in fact, we can click on this and do the same thing. And gosh, that looks really complicated. Like, where the heck did this brown face come from? But it turns out, so watch, if I control click on this, that cube right there. So let's undo that. Okay, so when I click on this, if I'm going to bring this whole cube into the center here, and that cube right there is going to go into that spot right there. So, okay, now looking at it makes a lot more sense. So now it's just a cube in the center that we can manipulate. So in general, you typically don't want to do very many moves on the outside here because it sort of exposes you to that eighth side that you can't really see. It's sort of confusing what the hell you're looking at here. And you twist this, and that rotates, and it actually makes sense, and I'll explain why in a couple minutes. But it's much easier to understand this thing when it's in the center. Then when you're twisting that, it makes a whole lot more sense, and there's no hidden eighth side that you have to worry about because no operation you're doing here is going to affect that hidden eighth side. All the stuff you're going to affect is easily visible and nicely symmetrical right in the center here. And so you go and do that, and it's like, wow, what is that? Don't do it. It's not necessary. If you want to do that move and see what is going on with that move, bring it into the center and then do it. And then you can see that it's just a simple reorientation of the puzzle, and you can do that reorientation through just, there we go. See, look, we just did that. So if we do that, then we can, amazingly do that and undo it. And so, these are just shortcut moves. And doing that, although it's confusing, just move it into the center and then you'll be able to figure out what's going on. Okay, so I've talked a little bit about rotating it. So again, on a Rubik's Cube, when you turn a face, you're really turning a two-dimensional object a square. And you have four orientations available. But because this is a four-dimensional object, the faces are 3D objects, they're cubes. And so just like a Rubik's Cube, you have all of the available symmetries of a face to you. So a square has, just 4. You just rotate it around 4 times and you're back to the beginning. But a cube has 24 orientations to it, and so you have access to all 24. And again, I think that you should only do the 24 orientations just via these simple face moves, the simple 90-degree moves that are easy to understand. And let's undo this. There we go. So what are we looking at here? So on the inside of this array, so it's a 3 by 3 by 3. So what is that? 27 small little cubies. Yeah. So there's 9 per layer, and then there's 3 layers. So there's 27. I'm just looking at this individual cube here. There's a center cube right there, and you can see it right there. Or right there. That center cube, no matter what you do on this puzzle, just can't move. It's a fixed center, just like on a Rubik's Cube. And so, as you can reorient the Rubik's Cube around and it'll move the centers. And so you can see the centers move in a reorientation. But there's no sequence of moves that you can do that are going to move those centers relative to each other. And so even if you do something really complicated, ignore what I'm going to do here for a second. So I did a slice. That is essentially equivalent on a Rubik's Cube to, doing like a middle layer slice. And you can think of a middle layer slice on a Rubik's Cube as like turning the right and left face at the same time. So watch, I'm going to do this middle layer slice, but we'll be able to undo it by doing that, and then reorienting the puzzle, and then doing that. And so you see we can simulate a middle layer slice by just turning the 2 opposite faces. And in this case, the purple is opposite the light blue. Or no, the purple is opposite the light blue, as you can see. So this face is opposite that face is opposite that face, that face is opposite that face, and then this center face is opposite the face on the outside here. Okay, so there is that fixed center little cubie that on each one of the 8 cube faces of this puzzle. And it doesn't move. So you're going to solve this puzzle relative to those center cubies. Now, what I haven't said so far is that this little cubie right here, see when I highlight it, when I mouse over it, that thing highlights too? That piece, the yellow brown piece, is actually the same piece. This is a 4-dimensional object, and all of these sides are all supposed to be on top of each other in the 4th dimension. But this projection has caused them to spread out so that you can see them, so that it just isn't visual chaos. But that piece right there, that green-yellow piece, is one piece. And so if we click on it like that, we're rotating the green cube about it, but it's attached to right there. So if we rotate that, then we're rotating the yellow cube about it, but it's attached. And so there's no operation you can do, absolutely no move on this puzzle that is ever going to separate that yellow sticker from the green sticker, because it's one piece. And the same is actually true of these edge pieces too, but the edge pieces have 3 stickers on them. So as you can see, when I highlight over this yellow cube right here, 2 other stickers highlight. This blue and this light blue sticker all highlight. Those are all one piece. And so if I click on this sticker, you can see that I rotated this cube around that sticker, that piece, but the yellow blue piece that's highlighted, it stays the same, and no move you can do on this puzzle is going to separate the 2 or the 3 from each other, because they're all one piece. So it would be like on a Rubik's Cube if you saw a corner or an edge, and this, and, in the faces had sort of been exploded, like where they would like lift off the surface of the puzzle, so that you'd see, like imagine like the white green edge piece sticker where the white's on top and the green's on the side. If you like lifted the stickers off and hovered them above the faces, they would be separated from each other, but they still define an edge piece. And so that's exactly what is going on here in this puzzle. And so there are these two sticker pieces, or two color pieces. We'll call them like face centers. And then there are these three sticker pieces, and I guess we'll call them middle edges, or like three sticker edges. And then there are actually, because this is a four-dimensional puzzle, there are actually four sticker pieces too. So these corners here are four sticker pieces. So when I highlight over this yellow, you'll see that the light blue, the blue, and the brown sticker all belong to the same piece. Again, so if I go over here, the yellow, purple, dark or blue, and then brown are all four stickers on one corner. This corner is it's a four-dimensional piece, but really you don't have to think of it as a four-dimensional piece. It really is sort of a three-dimensional piece. I mean, there's nothing here that is four-dimensional about it. You can see all four of the stickers, and they sort of make sense. And that's all the piece types on this puzzle. So on a Rubik's Cube, you have the centers that have one sticker on them. And so that would sort of be these inner center things. And then you have the edge pieces with two stickers on them, and that's sort of like those things. And then you have the corners with three stickers, and that's sort of like those things. And then there is no sort of equivalent to this four sticker piece. Or you could look at it a different way. You could say that the centers of a Rubik's Cube that have one sticker, well, in this puzzle, because it's an extra dimension, it has two stickers. And then the edges that have two stickers, well, because this puzzle has an extra dimension, now you can think of them as having three stickers. And then the corners that had three stickers, well, because this is an extra dimensional puzzle, you can think of it as having a fourth sticker. But your knowledge of how to solve a Rubik's Cube and sort of how to isolate the pieces and cycle around the edges and the corners, that is really all you're going to need to know on this puzzle to solve it. So, again, that's sort of this middle center piece, and it has two stickers. And any operation you do, the green yellow one is still going to be a green yellow piece right there, and the purple yellow one. So let me change the view. This purple yellow one, that's that purple piece right there, and that yellow piece right there. It's all one solid piece, and just like on a Rubik's Cube, there's nothing you're going to be able to do to break the corners or the edges apart. They're going to stay the way they are, no matter how much you scramble this puzzle. And so let me show this puzzle scrambled. What a mess that looks like, right? But we can tell from the center right here, this little cube in the center here, that this is the blue face. And then the center here, that one's the purple face. This one's the yellow face. This one's the green face. The blue face, because we can see the blue cube in the center there. This is the red face. You can see the red. And this is the brown face. And so that must mean that the dark blue is the one that we can't see. Oh, light blue, excuse me. Yeah, light blue. And then so obviously you can see, where is it? Oh, so here was the dark blue face, and so the light blue face is the outside. Okay, right there. And so when we did that reorientation, we took the yellow face and we put it to made it the hidden face, and so there now we no longer can see the yellow face. But again, so like this purple yellow piece needs to go between the purple and yellow faces. So let's see if we can find the purple and yellow faces. Where is the... Okay, so there's the purple, and we already know the yellow face is hidden. So we're gonna rotate this face around, okay? So now you can see that the purple sticker right there lines up nicely, meets up with the center purple. And we know that the yellow face is the one we can't see, so if we rotate that around, so now the yellow sticker on this is the one sticking out to the yellow face. So let me rotate that in and show you that we did indeed get that right. So there we go. So that purple two-color piece right there, purple, yellow, it is in its correct location and correct orientation on this puzzle. And I think that that's all I'm going to show you for scrambling on this puzzle for now. So let me show you some very, very, very basic how to undo a single move on this puzzle. And to aid in the understanding of the puzzle, the Magic Cube 40, the MC40 program, has the ability to do a scramble of a single move. So if you can't see this menu, but if I choose a scramble of one move, then it randomly selects a move, anywhere on the puzzle and does it. And now we need to figure out how to undo it. And so the way we're going to want to undo this is we first need to identify which face was turned. Remember, there are 8 faces, 8 cubes. And you could turn any of the cubes in any of the 24 ways. So whatever 8 times 24 is the total number of sort of orientations and faces. And then it also, so this program will also do the slice moves. And so the slice moves that I'm doing right here, this program will also do those. And so there's like 2 times 8 times 24 possible moves. So let me reset this here. Okay, now let's tell it to do one move scramble. Okay, so it looks to me like the face that was reoriented was the yellow face. So let's bring the yellow face into the center here. And indeed, now we can easily see that the yellow face is what was reoriented. Now we need to figure out which one of these cubies is at the center of the reorientation. So the red and this blue are already solved. And so it looks like all that happened was a 90-degree twist was done. So if we take that brown and put it there, that blue, put it there, or light blue and put it there, that green, put it there. So I think all we have to do is just this, indeed. So now the puzzle's back to solved. So let's tell it to scramble one more. Okay, now we see a slice move was done. So let's first undo this without doing a slice. Let's just undo it with doing the 2 face moves. So it looks like this blue face was the center of one of the twists. Okay. Indeed, it looks good. Okay. So we need to find a way to make this purple match up with that, and we need to make a way to make this blue match up with that. And let's see, okay, and then we need to make sure, so we need to make this yellow match up with that. So I think what we're looking at here is that this yellow needs to go over here and this green needs to go over here. So essentially those 2 need to be swapped. And the same goes with those brown and that blue. And at the same time, the purple, so basically we need to swap the green and the yellow. We need to swap the blue and the brown. And then we need to swap the purple and the light blue. And if you look at this cube right here, you can see that if we click on it, and that everything lined up nicely, the reason it is because, you know, when we're twisting around it, take a look at the animation for how that cube is being twisted. You can see that that face and that face swap during the rotation. And the same thing goes with the 2 faces on the other side. And then the top and the bottom also swap. And so a rotation around this cubie is what will undo half of it. Now we need to go to the opposite side because it was a slice move. We go to the opposite side and we need to find another cubie. So I think it's this one right here that was rotated around. So if we click on that one, okay, this puzzle is back to solved. And so the program did a middle slice, but we undid it by turning the 2 opposite sides. From now on, I'm just gonna recognize when it's a slice and undo the slice move. So let's add one more. Okay, great. So I told it to do a scramble of one move, and we can see that it already did it around the red center, and that's already center. So now we need to find what cubie it rotated around, how it reoriented this red center. And so we have a 3 cycle here of these colors. So we see the brown, this blue, and this yellow. They need to be cycled clockwise. And notice if we reorient this red corner, it will do that. Okay, but let's undo that. Now, because we're rotating around that red corner, as you can imagine a line going diagonally through the center of this puzzle, this red corner is the corner that's opposite it. And as you can see, there's a purple, blue, green 3 cycle too. So if we click on that, it's just 2 different centers that are the same axis of rotation. So that corner is sort of connected to that corner. So if you see when you click on this corner piece, and you reorient the red cube, you can see that it also reorients around that cube because there's, imagine a diagonal line through it. And so it doesn't really matter which one you click on. And so we don't even know which one the program used. All we know is that we were able to recognize one of them and undo it. So let's do another move of scramble. And again, it's centered around the red face here, only this time it's definitely a slice move around the red face. Now, the yellow and the blue are already solved, so it looks like all it is a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation of around this red cube. And so if we click on it, indeed, that's all it was. Okay, so let's look at another one. Oh, this one looks a lot more complicated. Okay, so it looks to me like a rotation is being done around the red face. So let's bring that into the center. Okay, now it's easier to understand what we're looking at. So now, how can we figure out what's going on here? Okay, so it looks to me like there's a 3 cycle of the blue, the red, and the brown. So that must mean that it was rotated around this cube right here, which means that there's going to be a 3 cycle of the yellow, the light blue, or whatever you want to call that blue, and the green. So if we click on that, okay, now the puzzle's back to solved. So let's scramble with one move again. Looks like it's being rotated around this light blue, or whatever you want to call it, blue. Okay, so now we have another 3 cycle, green, blue, purple. So I think we can just do that. There we go. Okay, so let's see if we can get something more interesting here. Okay, so it looks like it's being rotated around this yellow center. So we'll bring that in, or this yellow face. So we'll bring it into the center. Okay, here's a more interesting one. So we need to swap the green and the red, we need to swap the brown and the blue, and we need to swap the light blue and the purple. So it must be rotated around this edge. And there we go. So let's randomly scramble one more. Okay, now here's a slice move. And okay, so it looks like we need to, let me reorient here. Sort of get used to having to reorient this puzzle. So it looks like we need to do a slice move, the sort of the middle slice move. And so when you do that, you hold down the 2 on the keyboard when you click, and it'll do the second layer, the middle slice. And again, it looks like if we swap the purple and the green, we swap the brown and the light blue, and we swap the red and the blue, I think all we have to do is rotate around this cube, and that will happen. So I'm holding down 2, click, and there we go, we're solved. So I highly recommend that before you ever even look at this puzzle scrambled or even dream of trying to solve this puzzle, first familiarize yourself with, the 2 color pieces, the 3 color pieces, these weird 3 color edges, the 4 color pieces, the cubes, and then from the menu, choose from the menu and do scramble one move, and then try to identify which face was rotated around and how to go about undoing just a single move of scramble. And once you can sort of somewhat reliably identify which face is being rotated around and somewhat reliably identify which QB was rotated around, I think you'll feel comfortable enough with the interface, and you'll feel comfortable enough with looking at the relations of the pieces that you'll be ready to start looking at a commutator solve. So until then, I'm going to work on the commutator video. Go ahead and poke around and play with this interface. Try solving 1 or 2 of the 2 color pieces. So scramble the puzzle, and then go, okay, well here we have this light blue, red, the light blue red piece. So there we go, red, light blue, so you can see them. And so then, okay, well there's the red center right there. So if we rotate that, then now we've matched up the red sticker, and now we've got to figure out where to rotate the red. Okay, so here's the light blue sticker, and here's the light blue face. So if we do that, so see what we did. We rotated this red face, and now the light blue right there matches up with the red. And it'll make a little bit more sense if we move the red into the center here. And you can see that that red light blue piece matches up. It's in the correct location, correct orientation. I would practice solving 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4 of these on this puzzle to sort of get a feel for how to change the orientation in 4D by control clicking on the faces, how to identify what 2 pieces are connected, what 2 stickers are connected to each other using the highlighting, and sort of get a familiarity with with how to go about moving this puzzle around, and then you'll be ready to look at how to find some commutators on this puzzle. And then once you see how to make commutators on this puzzle, it's just going to be a simple task of making some macros and going ahead and solving the puzzle. So that's not enough for you to solve it, but I think it is enough for you to play around with the puzzle and sort of get to the feeling that it's not impossible, that it is understandable and somewhat doable. And then I'll make a video for the rest of it. Good luck.